Welcome back to English Evolution. I am Bella, and today we are talking about one of those moments you wish never happened.
And I am Rick. And yeah, today we're talking about a very embarrassing moment at work.
The kind of moment that stays in your memory forever.
Yeah, and especially when it happens in another language, it feels even worse.
So, what happened?
Okay, so this happened during a really busy shift at the bar.
So you were already under pressure.
Yeah, it was loud, a lot of people, orders coming in nonstop.
And what were you doing at that moment?
And what were you doing at that moment?
That already sounds like a risky situation.
Yeah, and then someone moved suddenly right in front of me.
Oh no!
Yeah, I tried to stop, but it was too late.
Let me guess.
Yeah, I spilled the drink.
On the floor?
No, on the customer.
Oh no! That's even worse!
Yeah, straight onto his shirt.
What did he do?
He just looked down at his shirt, then looked at me.
That moment must have felt very long.
Yeah, it felt like everything slowed down.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking, this is really bad. What do I say now?
That's a very stressful moment.
Yeah, especially because people around us noticed.
Yeah, especially because people around us noticed.
Yeah, a few people turned to look at what happened.
That makes it even more embarrassing.
Yeah, definitely not my best moment.
So what did you say?
I said, I'm so sorry. That was completely my fault.
That's a very good response.
Yeah, I just tried to stay calm and be honest.
And how did the customer react?
At first, he looked surprised, but then he started to smile a little.
Really?
Yeah, I think he saw that I was genuinely sorry.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, and I immediately offered to fix the situation.
What did you offer?
I said I would bring him a new drink and help clean it up.
That's very professional.
Yeah, I just wanted to make things right as quickly as possible.
Did that help calm the situation?
Yeah, it did. And he said, don't worry, it happens.
That must have made you feel better.
Yeah, and that moment taught me something very important.
What did that moment teach you?
What did that moment teach you?
That's a very important lesson.
Yeah, because the situation could have gone very differently if I had panicked.
But you stayed calm.
Yeah, I took a breath and focused on fixing the problem.
Did your coworkers notice what happened?
Yeah, one of them came over to help right away.
That kind of support makes a big difference.
Exactly. It made me feel less alone in that moment.
What did your coworker do?
He brought napkins and helped clean up while I spoke to the customer.
So you worked together to solve the situation?
Yeah, and that made everything feel more manageable.
Did the customer stay upset?
No, actually, he was very calm and understanding.
That must have helped you relax.
Yeah, a lot, because I realized it wasn't as bad as I thought.
Sometimes we imagine the worst, but reality is kinder. Did you continue working normally after that?
Yeah, but at first I was a bit more careful and slower.
That's understandable after an experience like that.
Yeah, I didn't want to make the same mistake again.
Did it affect your confidence?
For a short time, yes, but not for long.
What helped you recover your confidence?
The way the customer reacted and the support from my coworker.
Support makes a huge difference.
Exactly. It reminded me that mistakes happen to everyone.
And that you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah, perfection is not the goal. Communication is.
That's a very important idea.
Yeah, and after that, I stopped being so hard on myself.
That's a big step in learning anything.
Exactly, and I started to see mistakes as part of the process.
Did you learn anything specific from that situation?
Yeah, to slow down, pay attention to my surroundings, and not rush too much.
So it also improved your awareness. And what about your English? Did it help in any way?
Yeah, I learned how to apologize properly and explain a mistake clearly.
Those are very useful skills.
Yeah, especially in customer service situations.
And those phrases stay with you.
Exactly, I still use them today.
So the mistake became a learning moment. And that's what really matters.
Yeah, turning mistakes into growth.
It's interesting how a simple mistake can turn into such an important learning experience.
Yeah, and I think that moment changed how I see mistakes in general.
In what way did it change your perspective?
I stopped seeing mistakes as something negative and started seeing them as part of growth.
That's a very powerful shift.
Yeah, because before that, I was trying so hard not to make mistakes.
Which can create a lot of pressure.
Exactly. and that pressure actually made things harder.
Harder in what way?
I was overthinking everything instead of just acting naturally.
And that can slow you down.
Exactly.
Did that experience help you relax more in your work?
Yeah, because I realized that even if something goes wrong, I can handle it.
That builds confidence.
Exactly. Confidence comes from experience, not from being perfect.
That's a very important message.
Yeah, and I also realized that people are more understanding than we think.
Especially when you are honest and respectful. Did this change how you interact with customers?
Yeah, I became more confident and more calm in difficult situations.
That's a great improvement.
Yeah, I stopped fearing mistakes and started focusing on solutions.
That's the mindset of someone improving. Did it also affect your English?
Yeah, because I started speaking more freely without worrying too much.
And that's when fluency starts to develop.
Exactly, when you stop trying to be perfect.
And just focus on communication. So, if someone listening is afraid of making mistakes at work,
I would say don't be afraid, because mistakes are part of learning.
and they help you grow,
Exactly. Every mistake teaches you something.
and makes you stronger for the next situation.
Exactly.
Step by step,
Experience by experience.
and mistake by mistake.
Exactly.
That's how real progress happens.
That's how real progress happens.
And that's what makes the journey meaningful.
Exactly.
Even the embarrassing moments.
Especially those.
Because those are the ones we remember.
And learn from.
And moments like that remind us that mistakes are not the end. They are part of the journey.
Yeah, and I think that experience made me more confident, not less.
That's interesting. Why do you think that happened?
Because I realized that even in a difficult situation, I could handle it.
That builds real confidence.
Exactly. Confidence comes from experience, not from avoiding problems.
And once you go through something like that, future situations feel easier.
Yeah, because you already know you can deal with it.
It changes how you see challenges. Did it also change how you see other people's mistakes?
Yeah, I became more understanding and patient when others made mistakes.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah, because I knew how it felt.
And that builds empathy.
Exactly.
So the mistake helped you grow in more than one way.
Yeah, both personally and professionally.
And also in your English.
Exactly.
So if someone listening feels embarrassed about a mistake they made,
Just remember, that moment doesn't define you. It helps you improve.
and most people forget about it much faster than you think.
Yeah, you remember it way more than anyone else.
So don't be too hard on yourself,
Learn from it and move on,
because that's how you grow.
step by step,
Experience by experience.
and mistake by mistake,
Even the messy ones.
especially the messy ones.
If you enjoyed this episode,
Like the video, comment, and share it with someone learning English.
and we'll see you in the next episode.
See you next time.
And next time, try not to spill anything.
Yeah, no promises.
At least now you know how to handle it.
Exactly.
Take care,
Keep learning,
keep improving,
keep speaking.
and keep growing. Bye!